Hey! Everybody get up! Everybody get up! Yeah, welcome to Anita Vita Rise. Alright, everybody. Welcome. It's Anita Vita Rise. Anita Vita Rise. Yeah. Anita Vita Rise. Yeah. Anita Vita Rise. Yeah. Who can make it better? Anita Vita Rise. In all types of weather, Anita Vita Rise. Get you back together, Anita Vita Rise. Go send her a letter, Anita Vita Rise. Anita Vita Rise. Anita Vita Rise, yeah. Anita Vita Rise, yeah, yeah. Anita Vita Rise.
Welcome back, everybody, to another season of Rise with Anita Vita. I hope you are feeling rested, you had time to reflect, and that you got to tune into some past episodes to refuel you as you move through this season, because it's been an intense and crazy season, am I right? So thank you so much for being here. I am your host, Anita Vita, master medical Qigong teacher and healer. I know for a fact that I aim to create this beautiful space to amplify women's voices, have them share their stories so that they become a ripple effect of healing in this world. To kick off this amazing season in radical self-love, I have a beautiful, beautiful woman to share with you right now. She is a manifestation coach. She's currently based out in Mexico right now, primarily working online, but I'm sure she does in person as well. She is working primarily with beautiful, amazing women of color to shine their light, to evoke the beautiful divine feminine inside of them and break through limiting beliefs. Please help me welcome the beautiful Xandrine Ayla to the show, everybody.
Hi, Anita, and hi, everyone.
Thank you for being here.
It's an honor to be here to kick off your season. I'm so excited to have the chat with you today. I feel like we're going to have some juicy nuggets coming through. So thank you for having me.
You're so welcome, and I appreciate you being able to make it. And you know, I've been watching you and I've been following you for some time on social and just reading about all the amazing things that you're doing and really helping women, you know, get to their next level. And in the area of radical self-love, how do you define that for yourself, and how are you practicing it in your life?
First of all, thank you for bringing this forth, because this is such an important topic, especially for women. We are so giving in nature, and we sometimes forget to give to ourselves, right? So radical self-love is having an understanding of what do I really need in any given moment, right? So being able to check in moment to moment. What do I need? What's not feeling good? What can I ultimately do so that I can bring myself into the space of bringing my full self to the world? And sometimes that means stepping back. Sometimes that means taking yourself out of situations that don't feel good, toxic relationships, right? Or giving yourself the time and space to do the things that fill your cup, whether that be meditation, yoga, whatever lights you up. I have a number of different practices that bring me to that space. I love dancing. Nature is always a big teacher for me to slow down and come back to the rhythm of that sense of ease, that sense of flow, that rhythm, that natural rhythm, right? Because sometimes we can get so caught up in the go, go, go mentality of, you know what, we just have to keep going and keep giving. But it's in the times of having that pause, that rest, that listening, that you understand what you need. So radical self-love to me is giving yourself that moment to tune in, and then having the courage, whatever it is that you need to do to get to that place of feeling good, whatever that means for you.
I'm glad you're sharing light about to check in. So when you said all of that, and that it's moment to moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that means you actually have to be present with
100%.
yourself and paying attention to listen. When you actually
100%.
asked the question, right? When you said, Anita, let's just in this moment right now, what am I feeling? And does it feel good to me? And if it doesn't, how can I shift that?
Exactly. It's exactly that. And, you know, it can be a simple practice of placing your left hand on your heart, your right hand on your belly, and just tuning in. What's my breath like right now? What am I feeling in my body? What is my body telling me? Right? And then
Yeah.
how can I course correct if I'm not feeling good? What could possibly be the reason why I'm not feeling good? So, what can I do to lead towards that direction of feeling that sense of flow, of expansion, of radiance? And, you know, you could tell when a woman has been able to fill her cup, she shows up differently, right? So, I'm all about being able to bring my full self
Yeah.
to the world and enabling and supporting women to do the same thing. So that means you're not always going with the, oh, I need to be doing this. I should be doing this. So I'm just going to keep at it anyway. Right? This is just like the old paradigm that does not feel good. And it's so interesting because it runs deep sometimes. Um, I grew up I grew up in the Philippines, right? And I had a dad who was his work ethic was on point, but he he is a workaholic. He doesn't really know how to slow down. And so take, for example, I told him over the past weekend that I was in a retreat. And he's like, "Why are you always retreating? What about advancing?" And I was just like, wow, Bob, this is so funny because this is the opposite of what I have been, I've been retraining myself to shift that narrative of that it has to be go, go, go all the time. Because when it's go, go, go all the time, then if you don't slow down, I find that the universe has a way of making you slow down. Right? Something
Yep.
happens, and sometimes it's not that pretty, but it's a sign, right? Your body starts
Yeah.
to receive symptoms. There could be some unfortunate event, which is also always a blessing in disguise, I like to say.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be an accident or an illness, it's signs that, hey, there's something here that we need to pay attention to. But the practice is cultivating that sense of radical self-love so we don't even have to get to that point, right? So that we can find that ease and that flow. And it doesn't have to be all of this crazy, yeah, life has its ups and downs, but we can still be able to find that balance through that journey.
I think it's necessary, right? It's like breathing, equal
Mm.
inhale and exhale with the natural pace of your breath. And you know what landed for me when you shared about your dad's story? Like, why are you always retreating? Like, for some reason, and in my culture, in our culture, right, similar to my upbringing, retreating for some reason is a definition of going backwards,
Mm.
when the key is, and what I'm hearing from your share, is the pause is necessary and the stillness is necessary in order for you to actually move forward. And the secret sauce to speeding up is from that. You actually have to stop and not quit. It's the pause, right? It's just it's a pit stop, like anything else. And the speeding up and the moving forward and progressing is when you take those moments and time for yourself. When did you start to recognize that, oh my goodness, I am going full force, I'm just so in my masculine, I am craving this balance and harmony in my feminine? If at the time did you even know the difference between balancing and dancing between those energies?
Mm. I got to this point because I was very much in my masculine. I was an athlete most of my life, and I had this high profile job as a sportscaster. And I was working I was based in Singapore, broadcasting to Asia, Pacific, and the Middle East. And it was great, but it also came with a lot of stress and that you got to keep going. And at that point, yoga was my anchor. Yoga was my home where I could come back to my breath, to feel this sense of, okay, I can actually slow down. Wow, this is amazing. I feel so good here. And so I really wanted to end that career, but in all honesty, at that point, I didn't have the courage to. I thought that maybe one day I might regret that. And then so the universe heard me. I got laid off. I got laid off, and that was such a blessing because that paved the way for me to find that balance. I said, you know what? I want to find who I am. I was going through my Saturn's return. So I don't know if anybody can relate to, that age around 28 to 30. They say, if you're not familiar with the Saturn's return idea, it's like Saturn is in the same place as it was when you were born, and it can either propel you forward with what you've been doing, or it can create a whole shift that says, there's something else out there for me, and let me go ahead and find that. That was me. Right. So that's when it really started. So I decided that I was going to pursue teaching yoga. I did a yoga teacher training in Singapore before leaving, and then blew my mind, right? And I was like, I want to learn more. I came to LA for another one, and I fell in love. I became a mom, and then I became a single mom. And then that's when it got real. That's when it got real, because that's when I realized that, wow, I'm not only just fending for myself now, I'm fending for my daughter. And this way of being so much in my masculine is not supporting me anymore. I was actually experiencing adrenal fatigue symptoms. I was just so tired all the time. I had a twitching eye and all those things. The signs, right? Our bodies will give us signs. Yeah. So I was getting all sorts of signs. And that was my big wake up call. Oh, and certain things, other things happened. Like I got into accidents, I got into the hospital and the ICU, all sorts of things started happening. And I was humbled. And I asked, I've always had a strong relationship with God, source, universe, whatever you'd like to call that higher power. And I humbled myself and I asked, like, what do I need to learn here? What is the message here? And that was to slow down and to understand what it really truly means to love myself. to love myself and not just say affirmations and, it's just like from a very holistic point of view of loving yourself. And that's when I really went deep into this journey. I had teachers, I had mentors, I had books, courses, For those of you, maybe you can relate, Anita, I feel like you're somebody who also is into personal growth and development.
Yes.
When you dive deep, you just say, okay, I'm a sponge. I'm ready to learn. And, that's when they say the teacher appears, right?
Yes.
And I learned so much. And, I am far into my journey, but it's an ongoing process. There's never like a one and done. Okay, I'm a master at self-love. I got this, right? You're continuously learning through the experiences that life gives you. And that's so beautiful.
It
right?
is.
And I think
Yeah.
it's also the perspective that you have, right? Where why is this happening to me? And it's like, no. Anytime there's like a seemingly unfortunate situation that's happening in my life, I'm like, thank you, God, for giving me the situation. Thank you for the lessons that I'm learning. Thank you for the blessings that I don't know of just yet, but I know are going to be shown eventually. So when I have that perspective and I open up to the goodness that's coming,
Yes.
it gets so much easier.
I have to ask. You put so eloquently the surrendering process in that last sentence you just shared about what am I learning? What are the blessings coming out of this in this current situation? How are you feeling in that moment? Because I want everybody to hear and recognize that in those times you're actually in it, you may not see the blessing just yet, and to trust and to be in faith. Were you, in your most recent experience, emotionally, what was that process like for you?
So, I mean, in full transparency and honesty, right when it happens, it's shocking. It's like, okay, this is intense, right? And that's when you can start to breathe. That's when you can start to ground yourself. And then for me, it's all about I like to pray, and sometimes I just pray out loud. And I affirm. And when I start to do that, and I know that there is a higher power in operation that's doing things for me, even if my perception does not see that at this current moment, I can lean back and breathe and trust that this higher power knows what it's doing. And then I go, okay, God, show me how it gets better. Show me what's in store for me. I'm ready. I'm open. Do you mind if I share a specific situation?
No, please do.
Is that
Please
okay?
do.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes.
So right now I'm in LA, right? I was living in Mexico for last year, a good part of last year. And I came back to LA at the beginning of the year. I still have my apartment here. And I got back to my car flooded in with water in the basement parking. Okay. And this was intense because it was the start of the year. It was the first new moon of the year, January 2, I remember. And long story short, it was a shock for me to find out that had happened. The car was totaled. I didn't have a car for a while, and I was just like, okay, this is happening for me, and I get to find out why. And I had that curiosity and that openness to see how this is happening for me. So just to give you this example, right? I was covered by my insurance, and I got way more than I could have if I were to sell that car. And I got into a car that felt like a dream. This was something I always wanted to get into, the specific car. And I was able to get into that car on Monday because of that. That made me feel, I don't know, I just got like this upgrade. And it taught me again that sense of surrender, that sense of trust. It was like sometimes things need to be washed away. It's kind of like a hurricane, right? Things need to be, and Mother Nature is so intelligent, right? There's this innate force that you could see in Mother Nature. It's like this Kali energy. It's like she washes things away in order for this fresh energy to emerge. And this fresh energy that emerges, you know that you can design it in a way that feels aligned with who you are today. And that's so exciting. Like, that's what I love about, manifestation and creating my life and, sharing principles, techniques, guidance for my clients and how they could do that themselves. Right? Because it's easy to be like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Like the victim mentality, like, can't believe this is happening to me. Life sucks. Da, da, da. And then that you just go into this like drama that's like this downward spiral, because from that energy, you attract more of that.
Yeah. I agree 1,000%. And we both know because we practice and do this work that it does not happen overnight, and that's why we call it a practice.
Right.
I would love to hear your methodology around manifestation. And I didn't know you returned back to LA, so I'd love to come and see you. I thought you were still in Mexico, and I was like, wow, Xandrine's so badass. She's out in Tulum, and I love Tulum. I've been out there. And now you're like, I'm back in LA. And that's the thing, right? When you know what your body and what we've just been talking about and you've been sharing so lovingly, and the wisdom behind what does my body need, or what do I need? What does spirit need right now in this moment? And then your download comes and you're like, I'm going back to LA. And I'm going to manifest a really beautiful car to open up to and transport myself. I'm curious to hear a little bit more. I love our conversation. In the meantime, I would love to just say thanks to the amazing sponsors of this episode today. So just sit back and relax, and we'll be right back. What's up, family? I am Anita Vita, Master Medical Qigong teacher and healer. I believe that nurses deserve to be nurtured as much as they give. As a high-performing woman myself, I coach women how to overcome chronic gut pain so that they have total freedom in their life through their practice of medical Qigong. In 2011, while working as a nurse in the post-anesthesia unit, I experienced severe burnout, and it expressed itself as IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome. Discovering this practice allowed me to eradicate this gut disease completely and naturally through meditation alone. The slow, mindful movements of medical Qigong are potent and transformational, recalibrating your cellular structure by cultivating your body's natural energy and healing source called Qi. Today, I coach and empower women to achieve the same result through private and group programs, workshops, and retreat experiences to awaken you to your truth and be the highest version of yourself. If you're still in pain, you've tried everything, and you're sick and tired going from doctor to doctor with only prescriptions and strict diets as solutions, fear no more, my friend, because you have found me. Send me a message right now at anita@nacionvita.com, and we'll get you to rise out of that pain, guaranteed.
Mafia Management is a company dedicated to empowering individuals and businesses in entertainment, special events, talent management, content creation, digital and traditional marketing, and public relations, in working together to turn their dreams into reality. Get one step closer to elevating yourself and your business by contacting hello@mafiamanagement.com. Let us empower you.
Now let's get back to the show. So tell us, what is your secret sauce to manifesting?
Hmm. I mean, I could write a whole book about it. But
I know
in
you
a
can.
nutshell, in a nutshell, it's believing that it's possible,
Yeah.
right? It's coming to an understanding of what is of your highest excitement for you to create. Because what lights you up is what's purposeful for you, right? And then understanding, okay, well, then what is the narrative or what are the blocks that have prevented me from achieving this, right? If I want it, why isn't it in my life just yet? And that's when the deep work comes into understanding the subconscious, the, possibly the narratives that have come from your lineage, your culture,
Yeah.
unpacking that, recoding that, right?
Yeah.
And then from that understanding, okay, it's a co-creation with the universe, with God. So I like to always ask for guidance as to what am I inspired to do to create this in my life? And it can be like a small step. And you take those small steps. It's like little breadcrumbs. You feel into it. It's like, oh, let me make this call. Oh, let me go on this app and see what happens here. Right? And you consistently take that action and you create the momentum. You feel excited about it. You embody the person who already has it. And, I think it's all about like having that energy towards it. You have to have that burning desire towards it, right? It's like the most successful people, they're the ones who have really desired it for themselves. That no matter what the challenge is, no matter what the roadblock that they might be meeting, they power through. They don't make the excuses that, oh, but yeah, this happened and that happened. The story at the end is that I made it happen in spite of this. Right? And then it's also celebrating before it happens. Because you have that faith and that trust that because this is of my highest excitement and this is aligned with my soul purpose, I know that it's meant for me. And I know that it's only a matter of divine timing before it aligns. And I like to always intend, right? When I'm creating my intentions or my visions, I always ask for this or something better. Because again, we come back to the understanding that we're in co-creation with Source, and Source knows, right? Sometimes we have a limited perception of what's right for us. But when we surrender to what could possibly be better that we may not know just yet, then we're guided. We're guided. And then, sometimes you have to course correct in the process of that manifestation. And you take the courage to do that. If it's, you mentioned earlier, you're like, oh, you were in Mexico and now you're in LA. It's because I listen. And if I think that at one point I'm meant to be here, but I get there and then I listen and I notice and I feel. And if it's not fully in alignment, at this point in my life, I'm turning 41 next week. And so at this point in my life, I just want to be a hell yes with what's in my life. And if there's a doubt or if it feels a little icky, I pull out unapologetically. I'm like, no, this is not where I'm meant to be. This is not the relationship I'm meant to be in, whether that be a friendship or like, an intimate relationship. And that's okay. That's where the self-love comes in. So it's an ongoing, for me, it's an ongoing conversation with the universe. I listen, I feel, I course correct, I have fun with it, right? It doesn't have to be like
Yeah.
a serious, this needs to happen, right? I
Right.
just have to get to
Right.
this.
Although I know a lot of our audience who's watching now probably and feels that way. We want that immediate gratification. I've tried everything. What's next? It's
We've all been
relentless.
there. We've all been there, right? You and I, we know that feeling. I just want this to happen right
Girl, I still
now.
feel that way.
Yeah,
Trust
and
me. When
trust
you
me,
do
I'm
such
not.
deep work.
Oh, I hear you on that. I mean, like, I catch myself, but
Yes.
that's the
Awareness,
idea
yeah.
of like having that retreat or that pause, and that
Mm-hmm.
practices like journaling or having a coach to mirror and shine light on these little crevices of
Mm-hmm.
darkness that we're still processing. That we're
Yes.
like in that
Yes.
Maya or in that illusion. So then we know how to course correct or
Mm-hmm.
do more work so that we can move forward.
Right. I relate 100% with you sharing, having mentors and having coaches in our life to see the blind spots that we may not see just because I can't speak for everybody, but my ego is a tyrant. She's crazy. So to be in cohesiveness and alignment together, we do this dance so that we always come to the highest expression of ourselves. So in having done this work for a very long time now, what would you say is your first 3 steps to somebody who wants to practice manifesting with design rather than leaving it up to the universe until they're forced with a disease in their body or an unfortunate event that becomes a blessing in disguise? They all are, because it's part of our journey. What would you say where can they start?
Are you talking about a 3-step manifestation process? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
yes.
Okay.
Like or something they can start um, to take action on today. It doesn't have to be 3 steps. It may be some, because your modality may not be in those first 3 steps. Maybe like the 1 step that they can take
Mm.
to begin to just start testing co-creation.
I mean, the first step is always knowing what you want, right? It's like when you
Yeah.
get into a car and you're heading to a destination, you need to know where the destination is. You need to know what to put in your GPS. So sometimes, interestingly enough, there are a lot of people who have a challenge with that step because there's already limitations that are there preventing. Oh, I can't do that because there's a global pandemic. I can't do that because I'm a single mom, right? So there's like so much arguing for your limitations. So they go hand in hand, right? If time, money, energy, or if nothing was holding you back, if we were just talking about what would light you up and make you feel so happy and fulfilled, what would that be? Right? They have conversations with people who are close to death, and they ask them, what are your regrets? What do you wish you would do, or you were able to do? So if you bring yourself into that space of, wow, if today was the last day that I had to live, what would I create for myself? There's different ways of wording it, but
Right.
for me, I always think about what's of my highest excitement to create. What gives me tingles? And that tingle, it's a very similar, some people can label it as fear, but fear and energy are pretty much the same thing. When I'm in fear, I ask, how can I shift this into excitement? Right? Because it's a sign that, ooh, okay, I'm getting a sensation in my body. Okay, what's in this for me?
Yeah.
Because when I move past that, there's that sense of liberation, that sense of fulfillment, joy, and just being lit up. And then in the process, you never know who you're able to inspire as a result, right? So it's just like, give yourself the permission to really tune into what you want, no limitations, because we are, yes, we are in a physical body, right? But we are of source energy, and source energy is limitless. Our egos put the limits on ourselves. So if we were just to put that aside for a moment and, be the, we always have that inner child. Our inner child knows how to dream, how to imagine, how to vision. Can we bring ourselves into that space and think, what would it look like for me to design my life so purposefully in a way that really excites me? And then see what comes up. And then alongside that is understanding what are the stories that I've told myself that are preventing me from achieving this, and then unpacking that. And that's really when the a mentorship or a coach comes in, because I mean, even the most masterful coaches have coaches. No matter how far along you are in your journey, I feel, will still benefit from somebody being able to support you in releasing the blocks that are still there, because it's an ongoing process, right? So having that go hand in hand,
Yeah.
and then taking the action, of course. So let's say that, let yourself be free, imagine, vision, feel good. What will make you feel good? What's of your highest excitement? What would you want to create in your life? What are the stories or the blocks that you've told yourself that prevent you from achieving that? And then taking action. Taking action could be getting mentorship. Taking action can be, you know what, I'm going to make that call. You know what, I'm going to get on that dating app. I'm gonna start looking for houses, right? Act as if I'm ready. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take the necessary steps. And then, it's just like weaving that all together. And then, day by day, rinse and repeat, and allow yourself to enjoy. Like I said earlier, it's just like, can we release that feeling of it needs to happen right now, or else I'm going to go crazy, or else I'm going to be anxious, right? So then this is where radical self-love comes in. So take, for example, it's like, I've been single for so long. I just want somebody to come in. I want my divine companion. I want my man, whatever you want to call that guy or that woman if you're a man, or whatever, your partner, right? Let's be all inclusive here. And it's an understanding of, how can I give myself that feeling that I would get if I were to have that already? How can I give that to myself right now? Ooh. Some people may not have asked that question before. And some people may be stumped, like, I don't know. That's where the work comes in. Then you start thinking, then you start to really have an intimate relationship with yourself. Right? These are the questions that you would ask perhaps in an intimate relationship. What do you like, right? What gives you pleasure? What makes you feel good? Did we ever think to ask ourselves that question? And then did we ever think to actually give that to ourselves?
Yeah.
right? And not be in a space of like, I just want that person to come in and give that to me.
Yeah.
No, you can actually give that to yourself. And then you're lighting up, and then you create that energy that attracts that. It's the more and more I practice it, the more powerful and mind-blowing it is that this is why I do this work, because it's, it's like an amazing piece of cake. It's like, hey, you gotta try this. It's so good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm a
I have a
foodie. I
feeling-
relate. Yes.
I have a feeling like you're like that too. Like you get it.
Yes.
You can't help but share.
Yes. Wow. You guys, I hope you are taking notes. I can only imagine the pages that'll come through you when you start to begin this. And thank you, Xandrine, for sharing those empowering questions. Because when you start with an empowering questions, guess what? The answers will be empowering or a powerful one, rather than the reverse, where it's like, well, what's not working in my life? And right? Because our brains will automatically go to the negative and the victim mindset, and you'll spiral and you'll stay there. So I'm so grateful and thankful for you. Those were great steps, and even for me to start off with that again, right? Because there's so many versions of us that are coming out, that in that moment when you're about to write and when you're about to reflect, right? The key has always been, and that's something I always share, is the key will always come from your reflections. So when you do journal, and if you don't write and you're not a journaler, you could start with vlogging. You could record yourself in case the words won't flow through onto paper, because everybody has a different flavor of learning and processing, and explore. And so I'm so glad that you mentioned all of those beautiful strategies and processes, I should say, and that you also you made it a point to start with believing in yourself. No matter what strategy a coach gives you, or a guide or a mentor gives you, it must be coming from you to believe, so you can cultivate even higher and greater manifestations, right? So how can we connect with you? Where do we find you if we were looking for a fab manifestation coach in my life, in our life?
Yeah, so I am mainly on Instagram. And speaking of a pause, I'm just coming off the back of a pause, right? So I can be found in Xandrine Ayla, and I am Xandrine. I'm in the process of actually consolidating these two Instagram accounts. And I would love to support anybody who's called to continue this work. And you can find me there. You can reach out to me and just say hi, right? Create a conversation around that. And, I have other plans for this year. This is a special year for me. I was born on 222. So this year is
Yay!
22222. So I have other plans to expand into different other social media platforms. But right now, that is my sole presence. And I'm also on Facebook, on a Facebook group called the Magnetic Manifestors. And yeah, I'd just be so excited to connect to whoever is called to say hi and explore this work.
Thank you so much, sister, for gracing us with your presence. I can feel your energy through your voice and through your story. And I'm so grateful and thankful you're here. And I'm going to bring you back. So I appreciate you, and I thank you so, so much.
This has been such a pleasure for me to be here. So thank you. It's been an honor for me to share on this show of yours. So thank you, Anita, and thank you for all who are watching to be receptive and open to the messages that have been coming through in this conversation.
You're most welcome. Thank you, sis. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that Xandrine's words and her message and her journal prompts and self-reflection has helped you today, and that you take action on them. And I wanted to share that if this was valuable to you, to please share, to subscribe, and to follow me for even more inspiration. So I'm so grateful and thankful, you guys, that you tuned in, whether you are catching the replay or you are here live. I appreciate you. As always, I will see you next week, and I root for your rise. Good night, everybody.
Vita rise, Anita Vita rise, Anita Vita rise, yeah, Anita Vita rise, yeah, yeah, Anita Vita rise.